Comfy Cast, where we're going to be talking about how comfy we are, and also video games.
Mm.
It's going to be just a couple of thoughts about Dem Dorfs as a concept. Now, if you're not familiar, this is a Dwarf Fortress reference from some panel of a webcomic that reflects, I guess more than anything, the tendency to look over a game's flaws in design and view them as endearing and full of character. For, specifically like older or indie releases, I think it's more prevalent. Now, if you're already familiar, then you'll know what I mean, but if not, things like classic RPGs with a lot of random number generation, which is by today's standards of game design a really horrible choice, but looked back upon fondly.
Because of specific instances where you go against the probable outcome and get random but dramatic, well, not even necessarily victories, but it can be losses too.
I mean, a story that is not even video games related, but it was a game of D&D that I was playing that involved 3 crits in a row. It was a 20 attack roll, 20 attack roll, 20 instant kill roll, and it was the end boss of a dungeon, and it's that sort of feeling of the stars aligning and something really magnificent happening when you weren't expecting it to, that gives rise to these stories. And we don't see it anymore because of the focus on balance.
Which is obviously a good focus as a general rule, but does do away with this concept to a degree.
Mm. But I'm not sure if it does actually have a place in single-player games, because realistically, as much as this is a horrible way of looking at it, and I deserve to never be allowed to talk to anyone that makes games as a result of this, people will just load anyway if something goes horribly wrong, and they will have had a fun time doing it.
That's
because losing outside of the parameters of your own skill, not having been able to account for it, isn't frustrating when it's in a PvE environment. For me, certainly.
I wouldn't say the same, obviously, but occasionally being screwed by random luck isn't too big a deal in single player. It's true. When all it comes down to is trying again, as long as you aren't probable to be screwed by random luck, 8 or 9 times in a row.
I'm not talking
not
XCOM. I'm not talking the XCOM standard of just send China at your opponent until something happens that's in your favor.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of grey area which has the potential to be spectacular. And I think it's something that I'd like to see returned to mainstream releases rather than just things like Dwarf Fortress at the moment, the huge one. And what was the one that stirred this thought?
It was a thing in Original War, I think, but I don't remember the details. In that case, though, it wasn't a strictly random thing. It was just oddness in the pathing, I believe, that causes, soldiers to just run to certain doom for no reason.
Wasn't that? It was Arcanum.
Oh.
It was Arcanum's combat system, which, again, if you're not familiar, has criticals of varying degrees of effectiveness, and some of them are 200% bonus damage on yourself with permanent stat damage as well on top. And there are traits that you can do to increase the likeliness of these happening. So you get stories like, all of my companions killed themselves on the way to the enemy.
Nice.
And things like these aren't 1 in a million either. They will happen several times along the course of your playthrough.
Okay, we have 10 seconds. Wrap up quickly.
We're really comfy. Quilts are great. Buy as many as possible. Winter is coming.
And random isn't always bad.